I thought I knew Sarah better than anyone. After 8 years of marriage, you think you've seen all sides of your partner. Boy, was I wrong. It started with small things. Credit card statements she'd quickly shuffle away, her phone always face down on the table, those girls' nights that seemed to happen more and more frequently. I trusted her completely, which looking back, was my first mistake. The morning she left, I woke up to an empty bed and a note on the kitchen counter. Not even the courtesy of a face-to-face goodbye. I'm sorry, Mark. I can't do this anymore. I need space to figure things out. That was it. 26 words to end nearly a decade together. Her clothes were gone, her jewelry box empty, and most telling, her laptop was missing. She'd planned this. What I didn't know yet was that she'd taken something far more valuable than her belongings. 3 days after she left, I got the first call. Mr. Peterson? This is Jennifer from First National Bank regarding your auto loan payment that's now overdue. Auto loan. We'd paid cash for my Honda 2 years ago. Sarah's BMW was leased, and those payments were current. I'm sorry, there must be some mistake, I said. No mistake, sir. The 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLE, financed for $25,000 down payment with monthly payments of $847. The vehicle is registered to Sarah Peterson, but you're listed as the co-signer. My blood ran cold. Co-signer? I'd never signed anything for a Mercedes. But as Jennifer read off my social security number and address, the reality hit me like a freight train. That evening, I tore through our home office. Hidden behind her craft supplies, I found a folder I'd never seen before. Inside were documents with my forged signature, credit applications I'd never filled out, and bank statements for accounts I didn't know existed. Sarah hadn't just left me, she'd systematically destroyed our financial future before walking away. The Mercedes was just the beginning. Over the next week, I received calls from 3 different creditors. Each conversation revealed another layer of Sarah's deception. She'd opened credit cards in my name, taken out personal loans using our house as collateral, and somehow managed to forge documents that looked legitimate enough to fool multiple financial institutions. I spent hours on the phone with fraud departments, explaining that my wife had stolen my identity. The responses were always the same. We understand your frustration, Mr. Peterson, but these appear to be legitimate signatures. Do you have any proof of forgery? Proof? How do you prove you didn't sign something when the signature looks exactly like yours? The worst call came from Pacific Credit Solutions. Mr. Peterson, we're calling about the $18,000 personal loan that's now 60 days overdue. We've been trying to reach your wife, but her phone appears to be disconnected. $18,000. I asked them to email me the paperwork, and when it arrived, I stared at documents that showed a loan taken out just 2 months ago. Money supposedly for home renovations. We hadn't renovated anything. Our house was the same as it had been for 3 years. So where had the money gone? I started checking our joint accounts more carefully, looking for patterns I'd missed. What I found made my stomach turn. Small withdrawals, always under $500, from ATMs near the Riverside Casino. Sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. That night, I drove to the casino myself. It was only 20 minutes from our house. Had been this whole time, but I'd never paid attention to it. Inside, I spoke with a floor manager named Tony. When I showed him Sarah's photo, his face immediately darkened. Oh, Mrs. Peterson. Yeah, she's been coming here regularly for about 2 years. High roller, always played the poker tables. Haven't seen her in a couple weeks though. 2 years. While I'd been working overtime to save for our future, she'd been gambling it away, one poker hand at a time. I hired a private investigator named Rebecca Martinez. She was expensive, $150 an hour, but I was desperate for answers. Within a week, she'd uncovered more than I'd learned in a month of my own digging. Sarah hadn't just been gambling locally, she'd been traveling to Atlantic City, Vegas, and even underground poker games in the city. Rebecca showed me security footage from the Riverside Casino that made my blood boil. There was Sarah, laughing and drinking with people I'd never seen before, throwing around chips like they were worthless. In one particularly painful clip from 3 months ago, I watched her lose $3,000 in a single hand, then immediately go to the ATM for more cash. Our cash. Money we'd saved for the down payment on a bigger house. The pattern suggests a serious gambling addiction, Rebecca explained, laying out bank records across her desk. Look at these withdrawals. They increase in frequency and amount over time. Classic escalation behavior. She was chasing losses, taking bigger and bigger risks to try to win back what she'd already lost. But the real shock came when Rebecca showed me travel records. Sarah hadn't just been gambling, she'd been living a double life. Flight receipts to Las Vegas every month, hotel stays at expensive resorts, charges at high-end restaurants. All paid for with credit cards I didn't know existed, all in my name. There's something else, Rebecca said, her voice cautious. I found evidence that she's been in contact with someone named Michael Chen. They've exchanged hundreds of text messages over the past 6 months. The tone suggests, well, it suggests this relationship goes beyond friendship. Michael Chen. I'd never heard the name before, but according to Rebecca's research, he was a regular at the same poker games Sarah frequented. A professional gambler with a reputation for taking advantage of desperate players. The pieces were starting to fit together in a way that made me sick. That evening, I sat in my empty house, surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal, and realized that everything I thought I knew about our marriage had been a lie. Finding Sarah took another week. She'd been smart about covering her tracks, but Rebecca was better. We traced her to a luxury apartment complex in the next state, registered under Michael Chen's name. When I arrived there that Tuesday morning, I wasn't sure what I expected to find, but it wasn't the sight of my wife sunbathing by the pool, looking more relaxed than I'd seen her in years. "Hello, Sarah," I said, standing at the edge of her lounge chair. She didn't even seem surprised to see me. Just sighed and put down her magazine. "I wondered when you'd track me down," she said, not bothering to sit up. "I'm surprised it took this long, honestly. 25,000 in car loans, 18,000 in personal loans, credit cards I didn't know existed. What did you do with all that money, Sarah?" I kept my voice steady, but inside I was shaking with rage. She finally looked at me then, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of something that might have been regret. I had a system, Mark. A foolproof system for beating the poker tables. I just needed enough bankroll to make it work. The math was perfect. Math. Sarah, you lost our entire life savings. We're facing bankruptcy because of your system. It would have worked, she insisted, sitting up now. Michael explained it to me. You just have to have enough money to ride out the inevitable losses until the big win comes. But you were always so conservative with money, so afraid to take any risks. That's when Michael appeared. Tall, expensive suit, the kind of predatory smile I'd seen on used car salesmen. "You must be the husband," he said, extending his hand like we were meeting at a cocktail party instead of the scene of my life's destruction. I ignored his hand. "You're the one who convinced my wife to destroy our marriage for poker games?" "Nobody forced Sarah to do anything," he replied smoothly. "She's a grown woman who made her own choices. Smart woman too. She almost had my system figured out." Almost. The word that had cost us everything. What happened next changed everything I thought I knew about the situation. As Michael and Sarah exchanged glances, I noticed something I'd missed before, a small recording device clipped to Sarah's swimsuit cover-up, its red light blinking steadily. "Mark," Sarah said quietly, "sit down, please." "I'm not sitting down. I want to know how you plan to fix this mess you've created." "That's just it," she said, reaching for the recorder. "I am fixing it. I've been fixing it for the past month." She pressed play, and Michael's voice filled the air, clear as day. "The beauty of this scam is that we target the desperate gamblers, the ones already in too deep. We convince them to take out loans, promising them insider information on fixed games. Of course, the games aren't fixed, we just take their money and disappear." I stared at the device, then at Sarah, then at Michael, whose face had gone completely white. "You see, Mark, I wasn't gambling away our money," Sarah continued, her voice stronger now. "Well, not all of it. I was gathering evidence. Michael and his crew have been running this con for years, targeting vulnerable people at casinos across 3 states. I met him 6 months ago when I went to the Riverside to research an article for the paper." Article. Sarah was a freelance journalist, but she'd never mentioned any gambling investigation. "The FBI has been trying to build a case against Michael's operation for 2 years, she said, standing up now. "When they learned I had inside access, they asked me to go undercover. The loans, the credit cards, the forged signatures, it was all part of building a believable cover story." Michael started backing away, but it was too late. 3 men in FBI jackets emerged from behind the pool house, and suddenly everything made sense. The mysterious phone calls, the secretive behavior, the careful documentation of everything. The gambling addiction, the affair. All of it was an act? I asked, my head spinning. "Not the marriage problems," Sarah said sadly. "Those were real. I couldn't tell you what I was doing, and the investigation was destroying us from the inside. I thought if you believed I'd betrayed you, it would hurt less when it was over." As they handcuffed Michael, he glared at both of us. "You have no idea what you've done," he spat. "There are people in this organization who don't forget." And that's when I realized our troubles weren't ending. They were just beginning.